Good afternoon, YouTube. My name is Brandon, and my wife just bet me dinner that I couldn't fix this saw that I just pulled out of a dumpster without spending any money. And obviously, whereas I pulled it out of a dumpster, it doesn't run. It's on. Let's get going. So I don't know anything about it. I don't know the year. It's pretty rough. It looks like a Craftsman because on the label it mentions the word Sears. The chain seems a little sharp. So in order for something to run, it needs a few things. First thing it needs is to be mechanically sound, and it needs compression. And it pulls over. So that seems to be working. It needs spark. So we'll have to check, see if it's got a spark plug that's any good in it. And the gas smells kind of gnarly, so I think it's probably going to be carburetor fuel issue, but we're going to find out. I'm hoping to fix this without spending any money because I wouldn't mind a free dinner.
So it appears to be mechanically sound, and the next thing we're going to do is we got to check for spark. And if we have spark, then we can move on to troubleshooting fuel issues, and usually that's what the problem is with small engines in our area. People store their equipment, and then the fuel goes bad over the winter.
Alright, so the plug says that prior to it not running, it looked like it was running good. It's not rich. It doesn't look all carboned up inside. Alright, let's see if it's got spark. You guys are looking right there. Alright, that's a good sign. Let's take a look at the gas situation now. Holy! This thing must run on turpentine. Well, it's green, so at least they mixed it with something. There's something down in there. See that down there? That white stuff? She's got a case of the Crusties or something. I don't know what that stuff is. See it? That white, I don't know what it is. Some sort of junk that got down inside the tank. So
I don't really know what that white stuff was in the tank. I ended up adding gas and then dumping it out, adding gas, dumping it out. Eventually, it washed away all that crud that was in the tank, and now it's real clean.
We found two problems already. One, the gas being bad. Two, you see this screw right here? That's preventing the carburetor from sealing against the motor. So in other words, it's pulling in unmetered air that isn't through the carburetor. So that's one of the problems, the fact that this screw is loose here. Now look how loose that is. Holy. These things are welded on. There. Alright, so now we just got to clean this. We'll just probably blow it out with some carb cleaner. Ha ha! Look at that. That gasket was bad. Look at that. Huh. Well, that's not good. Alright, so we got to clean this up now. We still haven't spent any money. I hope I have some gasket material so I can make a gasket for this. Alright, so that's what the gasket should have looked like. It should have gone up around here and all around this pin right here, but you can see how that's completely blown out. So what was happening is that, you know, this motor is pulling in air because it's basically an air pump, and it was sucking it in right here. So it was never able to meter it through the carburetor. So I'm sure this thing was probably just running full tilt all the time, or it just died out altogether. I'm sure it just slowly ran worse and worse and worse for the person that owned it. So now we just got to make a gasket. That ought to be fun. All right, what I'm going to do is, since I know that this pretty much how the gasket wants to be, put a piece of tape over it so it holds its shape. And hopefully this will keep the gasket together long enough so I can trace it out. Something like that, I guess. So I cut out the tape around the gasket like that. So now I just gotta trace it out onto this.
So likely what has happened is that over time, as that screw continued to loosen up, the saw continued to run leaner, and then eventually it just was supplying so much air versus fuel, it just would no longer run. And that's probably why it got thrown in the garbage.
Now I'm just going to put some holes in it to line up to the other holes.
You can buy this gasket material at most auto part stores. This is just great stuff to have around, especially if you're working on something that has an odd-shaped gasket or a gasket that is no longer made. You can just make it yourself, as you can see I'm doing here.
Alright, here's the finished product, and we still haven't spent any money yet.
So as I'm putting this back together, I put a couple drops of Loctite on those threads so that they don't ever back off again and cause problems again. But like I said, I still haven't spent any money on this. The gasket material is something I had. The gasoline is something that I had. All the supplies that I'm using on this are just basic necessity supplies that I have laying around. I have yet to spend any new money on this project, and that was the deal that my wife and I made.
Yeah. That's how that's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be floating all over the place. Yeah, she's nice and tight now. Yep, it's got a good seal on it. Good, good, good.
So here's a little food for thought. You guys find a chainsaw in the dumpster. You fix it up, put about 2 hours worth of your time in it, clean it up, sharpen the chain, get it running great. You don't spend any money on it. Then you put it on Facebook Marketplace. How much money do you think you guys could get for something like this? Just for doing a little bit of basic maintenance. Not bad for a little side money if you think about it.
I rip this, we're done.
And when you do something like this, there's no better feeling than knowing you pulled something from a dumpster and got it running again.
Be very careful. Be very, very careful. As I slice my thumb off.
So all I'm doing right here is just trying to be careful and take my time to reuse that diaphragm. I'm pulling everything apart inside the carburetor so I can spray carburetor choke cleaner down in it. And that little black thing that you see to the left, that's covering up the high-low idle adjustment screws. I also cleaned those out. Those are real easy to do. If you guys want to know how to take those out, I don't do it on camera. All you do is just slowly turn them in and count the number of turns until it seats gently, and then just write down that number. Then you can unscrew them, set them aside, blow it out with carb cleaner, and then when you put them back in, again, you just screw them all the way in, seat them gently, and then back them out the number of turns that you counted before you took it apart. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
All right, let's get it back together. Actually, we'll set the carb aside. Let's back flush the lines, the fuel lines.
Now when I get this saw started, you'll see me adjusting the low speed and the idle screw. Now the idle screw just sets how high the saw idles, but the low speed screw also, that adjusts how the saw runs from idle to when you pull the throttle. You know, that's kind of like, if you don't set that right, your saw is going to be kind of like boggy when you go to pull the throttle, and you don't want it boggy. You want it real crisp. When you pull the throttle, you want it to wind up quickly.
Yeah. All right, let's give it a whirl, see if it works. And this gas is probably a year old, so I don't know if that helps us or not.
So now that I got the carburetor all adjusted, I'm going to put the saw all back together, do a final cleanup, get it looking really good, blow out the air filter, and make any final last adjustments that I need to make, and try it out on cutting some wood.
So where are you taking me to dinner?
Wherever you'd like to. I'll know next time not to bet against you.
So guys, the best thing too about this, well, the best thing too is that I'm getting a free dinner out of this. But a friend of mine's the one that told me he had seen this in the dumpster and told me about it. So because of that, I'm actually going to give him this saw. So I'm going to fix it up. So you guys saw I got no money in it. All I've done is what you didn't see me do outside is I put a little bit of bar and chain oil in it just so I didn't burn up and heat up the bar while we were working on it. I put a little bit of gas in it. But other than that, this thing's in good shape. We're gonna go take it out and cut a little bit of wood with it, and I'm gonna wipe it down, clean it up, and I'm just gonna give it to him. And thanks for the dinner, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
There we go. And that's all there is to it. And that's how you take a chainsaw that you pulled from the dumpster and get a free dinner. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you next week. Stay safe. See ya.